the auto giant behind Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram is teetering on the edge of collapse. These are not just any brands. They're cornerstones of American car culture. But today, their sales are crashing. Dealerships are drowning in inventory, and once loyal buyers are jumping ship. Dodge sales have nosedived by 67%. Jeep is down 44%. Chrysler has just 2 vehicles left on showroom floors. And Ram? It's pricing out the very working-class buyers that built its empire. This is not business as usual. This is a full-blown identity crisis. Why are new trucks now too expensive for the very workers they were built for? Why are local dealerships begging for help while their lots fill up with unsold cars? And why are families who once bought American now crossing the street to Toyota and Ford? What's happening? At the heart of Stellantis' troubles lies a mounting pile of unsold vehicles. More than 1.4 million of them. These vehicles are not just collecting dust, they are collecting debt, dragging down financials, and clogging dealership lots across North America. For an automaker, excess inventory is not just an inconvenience. It is a warning sign of systemic failure in supply and demand management. How did Stellantis get here? The roots trace back to the post-pandemic supply chain panic, when chip shortages and material delays paralyzed global manufacturing in the early 2020s. Automakers worldwide scrambled to secure production and refill their depleted inventories. Stellantis was no different, but where others scaled production carefully in line with recovering demand, Stellantis went into overdrive. They ramped up output aggressively, flooding the pipeline with vehicles at a time when consumer interest was beginning to shift. The result? Showrooms packed with vehicles consumers did not want, outdated models, poorly timed launches, and trim packages that missed the mark. What began as a bold push to restock quickly turned into a supply glut that the market could not absorb. Worse still, many of the vehicles produced during this frenzy were based on aging platforms. In a market driven by tech-forward innovation and sustainability, Stellantis kept pushing models that felt like holdovers from another era. And as newer, more efficient competitors entered the scene, Stellantis' vehicles sat unsold, their value depreciating by the day. Now, dealers are faced with a grim reality: sell vehicles at a loss or let them rot on the lot. The burden of this overproduction is not being shouldered by Stellantis headquarters alone. It is being passed down the chain to dealers, to service centers, to employees whose livelihoods depend on moving product. And with each month that inventory sits idle, the cost to the brand's reputation and bottom line grows. But while unsold inventory clogs the lots, another storm brews at ground level, where those most affected are beginning to speak out. The fallout at the dealerships. Compensation models have shifted, favoring vehicle shipments over actual sales. This means that dealers are effectively being punished for low consumer demand, forced to take on inventory that might not move for months, if ever. Meanwhile, support from Stellantis has dwindled. Marketing budgets have been slashed. Co-op advertising assistance is drying up, even after sales service support has become a sticking point, as dealers struggle to get timely parts, updates, and warranty approvals. The result? An erosion of trust between the automaker and its most important on-the-ground allies. Dealers are not just partners in a transaction. They are the face of the brand to the consumer. When they are demoralized and financially strained, the customer experience suffers. Salespeople are less motivated, service departments are overworked, and consumers take notice. The impact is now feeding back into the system. Many dealers are reporting that they are choosing to scale back their investments in Stellantis brands, redirecting showroom space and ad dollars to rival automakers that provide better incentives and stronger support. The loyalty that once tethered dealerships to Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Chrysler is unraveling. And once lost, it is hard to win back. And while the dealership network crumbles under pressure, Stellantis' own product strategy is throwing gasoline on the fire. The hurricane engine gamble. If Stellantis' inventory and sales woes were not enough, the company has also sparked controversy with its bold new engine strategy, a move that could redefine its future or drive away its most loyal customers. Enter the Hurricane engine, a twin-turbocharged inline 6-cylinder power plant designed to replace the beloved V8s that powered many of Stellantis' most iconic vehicles. On paper, the Hurricane offers improved fuel economy, lower emissions, and modern engineering that aligns with current regulatory trends. But in practice, it is causing friction. Loyalists of brands like Dodge and Ram are not interested in statistics. They are emotionally tied to the throaty rumble of a V8. It is part of the experience, a core identity that Stellantis is now asking them to give up. For many, the switch to a turbocharged inline-six feels like a betrayal. The raw, visceral performance that defined their vehicles is being replaced with something that feels more clinical, more controlled. Even beyond emotional attachment, early reviews from consumers and experts suggest that the performance gains promised by the Hurricane engine are not translating well in the real world. While efficient, the power delivery and throttle response differ significantly from the muscle car feel that buyers expect. And here lies the deeper issue. Stellantis appears to be making a sweeping change without a clear plan to carry its audience along. There has been little effort to educate or excite customers about this new powertrain philosophy. Instead, it feels abrupt, a sudden pivot that leaves longtime fans feeling alienated. This strategy might work for a startup or a niche electric brand trying to break the mold, but for an automaker whose brand image has been built on ruggedness, strength, and performance, the switch feels disjointed. Stellantis is not just replacing engines, it is rewriting the identity of its vehicles. And in doing so, it risks losing the very customers who kept those nameplates alive through decades of market shifts. Chrysler's vanishing identity. At one point in time, Chrysler was one of the crown jewels of American automotive excellence. Its name evoked prestige, luxury, and innovation. But today, that legacy is barely recognizable. Chrysler has been reduced to just two models, the Chrysler 300 and the Pacifica minivan. Both of these vehicles, though once respected in their own right, are aging fast, and neither seems poised to carry the brand into the future. The Chrysler 3, a large sedan known for its bold styling and powerful V8 engine, is hanging on by a thread in a market that has aggressively shifted toward SUVs and crossovers. Sales have been declining for years, and consumer demand for full-size sedans has all but disappeared. Meanwhile, the Pacifica, Chrysler's once groundbreaking minivan, continues to perform decently in a niche segment, but it is no longer enough to sustain a brand on its own. What is most alarming is the lack of direction. Despite being part of a massive multinational portfolio, Chrysler appears to be an afterthought. It receives little marketing support, few product updates, and virtually no strategic push toward electrification or innovation. Where competitors are rolling out bold new platforms and EV concepts, Chrysler remains stuck in neutral. There have been murmurs about a potential revival, rumors of new EV models, or a complete brand reboot, but those remain speculative at best. The real-world signal is clear. Chrysler is being sidelined. Without a new lineup, fresh identity, or serious investment, the brand risks fading entirely from public memory. And if that happens, it will not be because Chrysler failed. It will be because it was forgotten. As Chrysler quietly slips into the shadows, another Stellantis brand is facing a very different kind of crisis, one that hits directly at the heart of affordability. Ram's pricing problem. Once a go-to for rugged reliability at an affordable price, these trucks appealed to contractors and casual drivers alike. But that winning formula has changed quickly. The brand's decision to discontinue the Ram 1500 Classic has triggered a significant shift in perception. For years, the Classic offered buyers an affordable, no-nonsense entry point into the full-size pickup market. Now that it is gone, the price floor has jumped dramatically. The base price for the 2025 Ram 1500 starts well above $42,000, without any optional features or upgrades. That figure alone puts it out of reach for many budget-conscious consumers, especially in rural communities, where trucks are not a luxury, they are a tool. Add to that the premium pricing on upper trims like the Limited or the Tungsten, and you are looking at price tags that can climb well beyond $85,000. This isn't just about sticker shock. It is about brand positioning. Ram's decision to load up its new models with premium features, advanced tech, and upscale interiors may have been intended to compete with luxury trucks like the GMC Sierra Denali or Ford's F-Series Platinum, but it also alienated a core segment of their customer base. The buyers who just wanted a reliable, affordable workhorse are being priced out, and the timing could not be worse. With inflation still impacting consumer budgets and interest rates making vehicle financing more difficult, the market for affordable trucks has never been more critical. Ram had a golden opportunity to lead that space, but instead, they seem determined to chase high-end margins. Worse still, Ram's marketing strategy has not kept pace. There are few visible incentives, limited promotional campaigns, and minimal engagement with buyers who might have considered a Ram as their first or next truck. Dealers are stuck holding high-priced inventory that moves slowly, if at all. As Ram struggles to justify its price tags, another Stellantis brand is watching its heritage crumble under the weight of shifting expectations and rising competition. Jeep's crisis of value. In recent years, Jeep has aggressively increased its prices. The iconic Wrangler Rubicon, once the dream of off-road enthusiasts everywhere, can now cost upwards of $85,000 in certain configurations. Some trims and packages are even pushing six figures, territory once reserved for luxury SUVs and sports cars. While prices soar, the competition is catching up. Brands like Ford have launched direct rivals like the Bronco, offering similar capability and style at a lower cost. Meanwhile, Toyota's lineup is evolving rapidly, with the new Land Cruiser and revamped 4Runner targeting the very customers Jeep once dominated. On top of that, Jeep's own lineup is aging. The Compass and Renegade have failed to inspire excitement. The Grand Cherokee, though still competent, is now fighting in a crowded segment where many rivals offer more technology, better fuel efficiency, or lower prices. And with electrification looming, Jeep's delay in delivering compelling EV options puts it at risk of falling behind entirely. Then there is the used market. Thanks to years of strong production and consumer demand, there is a healthy supply of used Jeep models available, often at far more attractive price points. Shoppers who might have once considered buying new are now finding better value by going used, further cannibalizing Jeep's own sales. The brand's advertising still leans heavily on its off-road legacy, but in today's market, consumers are also demanding value, efficiency, and tech. Without serious course correction, Jeep risks becoming the brand that clung to nostalgia, while the industry and its customers moved on. As Jeep battles to hold on to its identity, Dodge is preparing for an electric future that could either define its legacy or destroy it. Dodge in the crosshairs. Stellantis has made clear that electrification is Dodge's future. The new Dodge Charger Daytona SRT, a fully electric muscle car, is the brand's flagship project. It is bold, it is futuristic, and it is completely different from what Dodge fans are used to. And that's the problem. The traditional Dodge buyer, the kind who lived for the sound of a V8 engine or the feel of rear-wheel burnouts, feels left behind. Many see electrification as a betrayal, not an evolution. The emotional connection to the sound, feel, and power of internal combustion engines simply cannot be replicated by EVs, no matter how fast they go. Worse still, the path to electrification has come at the cost of familiarity. The Charger and Challenger, two of Dodge's best-selling nameplates, have been discontinued. For many fans, that decision signaled the end of an era, and perhaps the end of Dodge as they knew it. Dealers, too, are struggling to get behind the shift. Inventory is stacking up, the electric models are not moving as quickly as expected, and the demand simply is not where it needs to be to support such a massive transition. Meanwhile, competitors like Tesla and Ford are dominating the EV conversation, leaving Dodge's efforts feeling like too little, too late. There is no doubt that the future of the automotive world is electric, but in trying to leap forward, Dodge may have misjudged just how much of its value was tied to the past. If it cannot bridge that gap between heritage and innovation, it risks losing not just sales, but the soul of its brand. As Dodge steps into an uncertain future, the larger question looms. Are these brands on the brink of extinction? Or is there still time to turn things around? How the Stellantis National Dealer Council is going to war. There is a growing civil war inside Stellantis, but this time it is not between boardroom rivals or engineering departments. It is between Stellantis and the very people who sell their vehicles, the dealers. At the center of this firestorm is the Stellantis National Dealer Council, which represents the voices of thousands of franchise dealers across North America. And right now, those voices are unified in outrage. For decades, dealers played a crucial role in Stellantis' success. They were more than just middlemen. These dealers built relationships with communities, helped families find vehicles, and kept the service bays running through thick and thin. But now, many of those same dealers say they feel betrayed, and they are not being quiet about it. The council has accused Stellantis of abandoning its dealer network in favor of short-term financial moves that serve shareholders, not sellers. According to internal letters and leaked memos, dealers are feeling the brunt of what they call corporate neglect, a lack of communication, reduced marketing support, and unrealistic unrealistic sales targets. The result? A complete breakdown in trust. This is not just internal noise. It is a signal of a much deeper fracture in the Stellantis ecosystem. When your own sales force is publicly calling you out, the cracks are no longer hidden. They are structural. And for Stellantis, that structural damage is already turning into falling revenue, missed targets, and mass dissatisfaction. The heart of the conflict between dealers and Stellantis lies in the incentive structure, or more accurately, the collapse of it. Broken incentives, broken trust. In the automotive world, incentive programs are lifelines. They are how manufacturers keep vehicles moving off lots and how dealers maintain financial health. But when those incentives dry up or shift unpredictably, it can bring an entire sales network to its knees. And that is exactly what has happened. In recent years, Stellantis has made sweeping changes to its incentive policies. Dealers say those changes have gutted profitability, tying bonuses and compensation not to successful customer sales, but to vehicle shipments. In other words, dealers are now judged by how many vehicles are delivered to their lots, not how many actually leave them. This change has sparked fury. It means dealers are sitting on tens, sometimes hundreds, of unsold vehicles. And the clock is ticking. With every passing day, those cars depreciate in value, eating into dealer margins and stacking up costs. Some dealers are even paying out of pocket to store inventory they never asked for. Worse, Stellantis has slashed co-op marketing budgets, leaving dealers on their own when it comes to attracting buyers. For many, it feels like being asked to play a high-stakes game without any cards. This is not a theoretical problem. It is a real-world disaster. Some dealers have already started cutting staff or reducing hours to stay afloat. Others are openly considering dropping Stellantis brands altogether, focusing instead on more cooperative manufacturers. The trust that once defined this relationship is gone, replaced by resentment and survival instincts. And as trust dissolves within the dealer network, so too does loyalty among consumers. Let's look at what happens when buyers lose faith. The customer exodus begins. Consumers are not blind to the chaos. In fact, they are the first to feel its impact. When they walk into a dealership and see the same outdated models, hear the same financing restrictions, and feel the lack of energy or enthusiasm from sales teams, they make one simple decision: to walk away. That walkout rate is increasing. Stellantis brands like Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Chrysler are bleeding customers. And those customers are not just disappearing into thin air. They are showing up on Ford, Toyota, and Chevrolet lots. These rival brands have seized the moment. They are offering better deals, faster financing, and fresher lineups. In some cases, customers who once considered themselves loyal to Stellantis are now becoming repeat buyers for the competition. The numbers do not lie. Over the past 5 years, Stellantis has seen a sales drop of nearly 40% across several of its core brands. That would be alarming under any circumstances. But in a time when other automakers are recovering post-pandemic and setting new records, it is catastrophic. Customer feedback also tells the story. Online forums and social media are filled with stories of buyers frustrated by unresponsive service, misleading promotions, or lackluster vehicle performance. Many cite rising prices as a key reason for their departure, but just as many point fingers at the poor dealer experience. And that is the vicious cycle. Disempowered dealers deliver a weaker customer experience, which drives buyers to competitors, which further weakens dealer profitability, which causes more dissatisfaction. It is a downward spiral. And this spiral is happening in a market that has fundamentally changed. To understand why Stellantis is falling behind, we need to understand the new rules of the automotive game. The new rules of the game. The auto industry today is not what it was even 5 years ago. Consumer expectations have evolved. Economic pressures have intensified. And new technologies are redefining what people look for in a car. For companies like Stellantis, adapting to this new reality is not optional. It is existential. First, the average car buyer today is more informed than ever. With access to real-time pricing tools, dealership reviews, and comparison apps, consumers are walking into showrooms already knowing what they want and what they are willing to pay. There is little room for error. Second, affordability is no longer a bonus, it is a requirement. With inflation squeezing household budgets and interest rates climbing, consumers are hunting for value. Brands that offer generous incentives, lower starting prices, and long-term reliability are winning big. Third, brand loyalty has diminished. Shoppers who once swore allegiance to a single badge are now willing to switch brands in pursuit of better deals or features. In this landscape, every bad experience is a lost customer, and possibly a gained competitor. But Stellantis appears to be lagging on all fronts. Its pricing strategy has pushed some models into the luxury bracket, leaving everyday buyers behind. Its vehicle updates have been slow and inconsistent, and its dealer support, as we have seen, is falling apart. To make matters worse, Stellantis is navigating this new landscape with an outdated playbook. The old model of shipping large volumes to dealers and relying on sheer availability no longer works. What customers want now is customization, convenience, and clarity. And right now, Stellantis is delivering the opposite. If they cannot shift quickly, both in strategy and mindset, they risk becoming the next cautionary tale in a fast-changing market. Because in this game, the rules have changed. And for Stellantis, time may already be running out. Can Stellantis be saved? Following a cascade of internal crises, investor panic, dealer mutiny, and customer departures, Stellantis now faces its biggest question yet. Is there a path forward? The answer depends entirely on whether Stellantis can stop treating its U.S. operations like a liability and start treating them like a long-term investment. First, it must restructure its pricing strategy across the board. In a market where affordability has become a key purchase driver, continuing to push ever higher prices for outdated models is a death wish. Second, Stellantis must return to supporting its dealers. The erosion of trust between the company and its retail partners has created a toxic environment. With dealers stuck holding unsellable inventory and starved of incentive support, Stellantis risks hollowing out its most important sales channel. Any recovery plan must begin by restoring those partnerships. Third, Stellantis must refine its brand-level strategy. Each nameplate, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, has a distinct legacy. But right now, the transition to electric feels like a one-size-fits-all push, detached from each brand's DNA. Rather than shoving every model into an EV mold, Stellantis must tailor its product evolution to what loyal buyers actually want. Finally, it must look inward. Leadership must pivot from short-term financial engineering to long-term brand health. The industry is moving fast, but it is not just about tech. It is about trust, relevance, and connection. If Stellantis can rally around a bold but realistic turnaround vision, there may still be time to salvage these four icons of American mobility. But time is running out, and customers are already walking away. Lessons from the brink. If there is one thing the near collapse of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram teaches us, it is this: brand loyalty can only be stretched so far. Once the connection is broken by rising costs, poor service, or misaligned products, it is nearly impossible to regain. The old rules of the auto industry no longer apply. Customers are no longer buying cars just because of heritage or horsepower. They want value, technology, transparency, and meaningful brand purpose. They expect innovation without condescension and loyalty without betrayal. Stellantis' current crisis is not just a manufacturing issue or a supply chain hiccup. It is a full-blown brand identity meltdown. The warning signs were there for years: aging inventories, dismissive customer policies, weak EV positioning, and tone-deaf pricing strategies. And yet the response was always the same: cut costs, increase prices, silence the dealers, and hope it blows over. It did not. Across the industry, other automakers are learning. Ford is doubling down on hybrid offerings to maintain affordability. Toyota is leveraging its reputation for reliability to win new EV buyers. General Motors is integrating EVs with incentives while keeping classic models alive. These brands are listening. Stellantis until now has not. The collapse of these four American brands would not just be a corporate tragedy, it would be a cultural one. They helped shape the roads, dreams, and economies of Middle America. But if their parent company cannot adapt, and fast, those names might become nothing more than footnotes in history. Now it is your turn. Do you think Stellantis can save these four brands before it is too late? Or is this the beginning of the end for some of the most iconic names in American automotive history? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. And if you want more deep dives into the industries that shape your world, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The next big shakeup is always just around the corner.